Welcome to Forbidden Files. Today, we are going somewhere that does not appear on any official map, a place buried under 100 feet of ice, 800 miles from the North Pole, that housed a nuclear reactor, up to 200 soldiers, a church, a library, and a secret so explosive that the US government kept it classified for nearly 30 years. This is Greenland, the world's largest island, covered by an ice sheet up to 2 miles thick. Temperatures can drop to minus 70 degrees Fahrenheit. Winds can reach 125 miles per hour. And in 1959, the United States Army decided to build a secret base here. Not on the surface, inside the ice. To understand why, you need to understand 1959. The Cold War was at its most terrifying. The Soviet Union had just launched Sputnik. The nuclear arms race was accelerating, and American military planners had a serious problem. Nuclear missiles in 1959 sat in fixed silos. The Soviets knew roughly where they were. In a first strike scenario, those missiles could be destroyed before they were ever fired. America needed missiles that could not be found, and someone looked at a map. Greenland sits almost directly between North America and the Soviet Union. A missile fired from under the Greenland ice sheet could reach Moscow in minutes, and 2 miles of solid ice would make the launch sites virtually impossible to detect or destroy. The plan was called Project Iceworm. The U.S. Army envisioned a network of tunnels stretching 2,500 miles under the Greenland ice sheet, roughly the distance from New York to Los Angeles, housing up to 600 nuclear missiles, each capable of reaching the Soviet Union. There was one significant problem. Greenland was not American territory. It belonged to Denmark. And Denmark had no idea what the United States was planning to build under its territory. So the Army built a cover story. In May 1959, the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers arrived in Greenland, claiming to build a remote scientific research community. They transported 6,000 tons of supplies to a site 150 miles from the nearest other humans, and in under 2 years, built a fully functioning underground city. Camp Century was unlike anything ever constructed. Its main corridor, called Main Street, was 26 feet wide and stretched over 1,000 feet. On either side, tunnels branched off, containing a mess hall, a bakery, a chapel, a library, a cinema, a hospital, and a barbershop. All of it inside a glacier. 800 miles from the North Pole, and powering all of it, a nuclear reactor. The PM-2A portable reactor was disassembled into 14 components, transported to the Arctic on sleds, and reassembled inside the ice. It was the world's first nuclear-powered military station. Medium pause. The cover story was working perfectly. The Army invited journalists, including reporters from National Geographic, to tour the base. They wrote glowing reports about American ingenuity conquering the Arctic. What they were not told, and what even most soldiers living there did not know, was that Camp Century was a prototype for something far larger. Medium pause. The real vision was this: a network of tunnels so vast that the Soviets could never know where the missiles were at any moment. The missiles would travel on underground railways, constantly moving, with no fixed target for the enemy to aim at. From a strategic perspective, it was brilliant. From a scientific, it did not work. Military planners had made a fundamental mistake. They assumed the Greenland ice sheet was static, solid, fixed, permanent. It is not. Glaciers flow, they shift, they expand and contract. The ice was alive, and it was eating the base. Soldiers armed with electric chainsaws had to constantly carve back the tunnel walls as ice pressed inward. Steel railway tracks buckled under the pressure. Missiles would have tipped over. The reactor itself was at risk as the ice below it shifted. In 1963, the reactor was shut down. Project Iceworm was quietly canceled. The 600 missiles were never installed. The 2,500 miles of tunnels were never built. The most ambitious secret military project of the Cold War died, not from enemy action, but because nobody had properly accounted for how glaciers work. Medium pause. By 1967, the base was completely abandoned. The Army removed the nuclear reactor and left everything else behind. Everything else meant 53,000 gallons of diesel fuel, toxic PCB chemicals, radioactive coolant water from the reactor, and years of biological waste from 200 soldiers, all frozen into the ice. The Army's reasoning was simple. 4 feet of new snow fell every year. The waste would be buried deeper and deeper, safe forever. Project Iceworm remained classified until 1995, nearly 30 years after the base was abandoned. In 1997, a Danish institute revealed that Denmark had not been properly informed about the military nature of Camp Century. The Danish government was furious. They had not agreed to host a secret nuclear missile platform on their territory without their knowledge. The Danish government was furious. They had not, but the story did not end there. NASA scientist Chad Green was flying over Greenland on a routine radar mission, measuring ice thickness, when something unexpected appeared on his instruments. Shapes, structures, 100 feet below the surface. "We were looking for the bed of the ice," NASA scientist Alex Gardner later said, "and out pops Camp Century. We didn't know what it was at first." The lost city was still there, buried, intact, and still containing everything left behind in 1967. The plant bro was ripped away and furnished at its past. And here is where it becomes a problem for all of us. The Arctic is warming at approximately 4 times the rate of the rest of the planet. The Greenland ice sheet is melting. And as the ice melts, what was buried does not stay buried. A 2016 study found that meltwater flowing under the Greenland ice sheet would eventually mobilize the radioactive coolant, diesel fuel, and toxic chemicals, carrying them into the Arctic Ocean. Scientists project this could begin by around 2090. Climate scientist William Colgan described the fatal flaw in the Army's 1967 logic perfectly. They thought it would never be exposed, he said. Back then, in the 1960s, the term global warming had not even been coined. Medium pause. And now the political question nobody has answered. Who is responsible for cleaning it up? The United States built it. Denmark owned the territory. Greenland, which now has its own autonomous government, was never consulted. 3 governments, 0 agreed solutions. There is one unexpected twist. When Army engineers drilled into Greenland's ice in the early 1960s, partly as cover for Project Iceworm, they extracted an ice core, a 12-foot sample of rock and soil drilled through 4,500 feet of ancient glacier. That core, forgotten for decades, was rediscovered by climate scientists. Inside it, ancient plant fossils, evidence that Greenland was once warm and green, evidence that its ice sheet had melted before, and that it could melt again. If the Greenland ice sheet melted completely, sea levels would rise by approximately 20 feet. The ice core drilled by Cold War soldiers looking for a place to hide nuclear missiles may turn out to be one of the most important climate science samples ever collected. Today, Camp Century sits 100 feet below the surface. Still there, still containing everything left behind in 1967. No marker, no warning sign, no fence. Just ice, medium pause. A nuclear city, a 600 missile plan, a betrayed ally, a climate time bomb. All of it hidden under the most featureless landscape on Earth. All of it still there. Some secrets get buried so deep that the people who hid them assume they are gone forever. Camp Century is proof that eventually, one way or another, everything comes back to the surface. Hit subscribe, new video every week, and next time you see a map of Greenland, remember what is underneath it.